Hello YouTubers, the Smith and Wesson M&P Shield. This is the original shield. I will show you that it's clear. That's the magazine in there. 9mm. Original shield and 9mm. I wanted to explain why this was such a popular handgun and why it kind of kicked off for Smith and Wesson. Really an era of just selling a ton of concealed carry handguns. They always sold handguns, but with the Shield, they sold an absolute ton of capable of firing with magazine removed. Okay, magazine's out, but you can see the weapon is clear. So they really spawned a whole generation of nice little concealed carry. These are super thin pistols. Now they have the Shield Plus, which they've kind of really capitalized, I guess, on the huge gains that they made as a concealed carry firearm. But this original 9mm, the fact that it was lightweight, slim, and very reliable, the action itself, I can show you inside why I think this was really popular. Just the rugged reliability. I actually wanted to show you something of the safety, which a lot of people don't mention when they have to chamber a handgun for, inside their house before they go out. Why the safety is so useful. You have to put a round in the chamber. I guess you don't have to, but really you should. And that's the safety off there. And that's the safety on, engaged. I don't think there's a little red dot or anything. But it is tactile. You can hear it. When you load a round into this thing, typically, you want to place the weapon on safe. So now you're on safe. And you would take a magazine, point the weapon in a safe direction, and you would load the magazine in and let the slide go forward. So you just let your slide go forward. You'd be in this condition here. What's really nice about this pistol, this safety, is it doesn't lock the action. Some safeties out there do lock the action up, so you can't actually chamber a round. But before you head out on concealed carry, wherever you're going to, you can safely put a round in because you're in that safe condition. Then when you're ready to fire, or even when you have it holstered, you can still disengage your safety. So that's in the holster. I have that in a pocket holster. This safety is still very accessible. And you can do it right or left-handed. It's a little bit easier for a right-hander to engage, but as a lefty, you can actually bring your thumb over and engage the safety like that. I choose these sights, the regular white dot sights. I find that without any illumination, these give you some degree of visibility even in low light. These are not the night sights. The fiber optics I find outside, they're fantastic, but once you get into lower light or real conditions out there, I think the white dots are really the way to go. That's my own personal opinion. But yeah, this is your Shield. I touched the trigger there, so this trigger, let me show you one drawback that I've seen with the trigger, and I'm going to clear it again. Alright, so just rack the slide a few times. You can see I'm empty, and I'll show you again. Empty. Okay. One disadvantage I know with the Shield, or at least I've noticed, I didn't notice so much with live fire, is when you pull this trigger, the reset, so you pull and hold, watch the reset. This is the original M&P 9 Shield. I don't know if they've changed since, but this, when you release it, and again, it's not so much on live fire because you're hearing the round go off and the recoil of the firearm. There's a kind of like a fake click there, false reset they call that, and then it comes out again. and that's reset at that point. So let me try to catch that again. So that's all the way out. Right about there. It's kind of got a click. And then the reset. But it's nothing major. I mean, I don't notice it when I go to fire the pistol at the range. But Smith and Wesson did like a phenomenal job with this handgun, I thought, with the original Shield. Smith and Wesson was trying to compete with Glock for the longest time. And they had the SDs, the original I guess the old school SDs, or Sigmas they called them. And they were terrible. They were kind of terrible. I guess some people do like them. But they've since changed those. But I think this pistol right here, this handgun for Smith and Wesson, this was a real winner. As well as their law enforcement series, they had their law enforcement M&P series. So yeah, Smith and Wesson Shield, and I think huge advantage with this safety for most concealed carriers, because again, put the safety on, and then you would load a magazine. I'm having trouble because of my thumb. You put that safety on, and then you can rack around in the chamber, and you have that safety. You have that advantage of nothing's going to happen with this because the trigger is completely blocked. So I think that was a real cool feature they had. You can get this without the manual safety, but a lot of people are carrying appendix, and really with appendix type carry, you want some type of manual safety. I mean, I don't think this is too onerous. I think really it's so positive, and I'm even doing it with a bandage on. So I mean, if you can do that, and I'm not always firing left-handed, but you can actually just disengage it so easily like that. I mean, I recommend this handgun, the original. I want to get the Plus, actually. But these were really, really cool handguns. And again, I think this, for Smith and Wesson, this really put them on the map. Not that they weren't already, but I think they were struggling to compete with Glock. And I think this was a really strong Glock competitor. Let me show you the inside, the guts that I think really make this thing. You can get them now optics ready with the Plus. I'm going to take a look at the guts for you to show you how really durable this thing is. Now I actually fire it to disassemble it, which is not a big deal because that's the same with Glock, but you can see on the inside just how basic this thing is. I mean, there is nothing to these pistols, parts-wise. I mean, that's it. That's on the inside. I mean, take a look at this in a little bit better light. You can see now that little yellow bar is what you're supposed to sweep down prior to disassembly, but I don't do that. It's a pain. As long as you clear it, you can just disassemble it with the, click of the trigger. You can see the ejector there. Pretty beefy. I think another thing that makes this pistol too, look at this, steel piece in there. I just think these are really well constructed. My own personal opinion is they're well constructed. A lot of thought went into the serrations. And again, this is the first gen that they came out with. It was nicely done. The sight's drift adjustable on the back, provided you have a little screwdriver. You could probably drift the front too, but nobody really does that. Or replace it out entirely. But the extractor on these, the extractor was beefy. Both the extractor and the ejector are beefy. They look really beefy. So I think they did a great job on these. They made, a nice, reliable concealed carry piece. And again, basic on the inside. You can see the little striker. You can see the safety all together. And no issues, no issues. They didn't have anything major other than some complaints about the reset being a little wonky, and people, you know, changed out these triggers for custom triggers, but everybody always does that. I believe you can even switch this over for a lefty, but as a lefty, you can still not an issue to use it. But yeah, Smith and Wesson, that's the gun that started it all. In my opinion, for Smith and Wesson, I think that is what really put things together for them. So I think that this was the beginning of their success story in the concealed carry arena. So just my 2 cents. Hope you enjoyed a little video on the Smith and Wesson carry shields. And I didn't disassemble it on camera for you. I just disassembled it off camera. So I'll put this thing back together. YouTubers out.